Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Well, hey everybody, it's another Friday and it's the 1st of March 2024 out here at Giga Texas. It's amazing that we're already in the third month of the first quarter of this year. Time is really going by very quickly. Now, a couple of things that I want to talk about in the intro before we get into the main video. First, as you may have heard, yesterday Tesla started opening up their Supercharger systems to other manufacturers, starting with Ford. And there's already been a lot of people out trying it out, and it seems like it's working really well. Now, the interesting way that this works is that there is a Tesla designed adapter that Ford purchased and is giving to their customers, specifically the F-150 Lightning and the Mach-E owners, and it allows them to connect directly to the Superchargers and then through software be able to charge. And so far, the results seem to be very good. Now, Ford is the first one that's able to start with this open supercharging, but it'll be open to many other manufacturers very soon. In fact, in the next month or two, we'll start seeing Rivian, we'll see General Motors, Volvo, and Polestar also being able to use the superchargers, and then that will expand beyond that. If you want to learn more, you can see the link here on the screen. It'll also be in the video description, and Tesla will give you a lot more information about how it works and what other vehicles are available to be using the superchargers. So pretty neat. Now, another thing that I do want to talk about is that my Patreon, Kenan Bateman, did an excellent job with a render in response to a question that I had, and that question was, on the southwest corner of the new extension, it looks like there's a new atrium or open area and possibly another entrance. And Kenan took that as a challenge, and as you can tell here from what it looks like right now, and then as we morph into the render, it really looks good. And as Kenan says, he kind of took a little inspiration from the rendering from Giga Nevada, and you can see that here. And I just think that this looks really good, and it may actually be very close to what the original rendering and the final look will be. So I just thought I would share that with you, and thank you again to my Patreon, Kenan Bateman, for making that render. It's pretty neat, and the community that we have and the support on things like this is just tremendous for me, and I'm glad to be able to share. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about briefly before we get into the video, because there is a lot going on here at the site today, and that has to do with the Starship Flight 3 and Starbase, and that is coming up very soon. It may be in the next couple of weeks. And as always, I am planning on going down there and participating with some of the pre-launch events and also covering the launch itself. Now, again, we don't know the exact date, but it will be coming up, and I wanted to give you a heads up that when that time comes, I'll be heading down to Starbase, and my flights here at Giga Texas will be somewhat disrupted for the period of time that I'm down at Starbase. But I hope that you like the coverage that I'll be able to provide down there. Also, on the way to Starbase, I will try to stop at the Corpus Christi lithium plant and try to get an updated video of the progress that is going on down there, since it's been a few months since I've had a chance to go there. So otherwise, as I mentioned, there is a lot going on at the site today, and rather than talking about the intro, we'll just talk about it during the flight. As always, thank you very much for your support and for watching. Welcome to March, and have a great week. Take care.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. We start off today with a great view here on the West Support Facility and looking up that new road that goes from the south to the north, and of course the material staging yard to the right. But I want to start on the parking lot on the left. This used to be the contractor parking lot. Now it's being used for some of the steel items for the south extension. Also, a lot of trenching for conduit, which suggests that this is going to be for lighting, and eventually, most likely, this is going to be a paved parking lot. And it'll be a big improvement over just the gravel that has been put down and used for quite some time. Good view here of the conduit in the trenching on the left and the right, and they are also starting to fill back in the trenching on this section. So that is a great sign that the conduit work here is mostly completed, and we'll start seeing the next stage of the improvements here soon. Good view of all the conduit on this side as well. And also notice that there was some stormwater pipe that was being stored on that site next to the steel. And as we pass the West Warehouse on Wheels, looking straight down, we can see this excavation, a trench box on the bottom left. And this is most likely where those steel corrugated pipes are going to be put to help with the drainage for this entire section. We do see a lot more of the tunnel boring machine concrete segments here on this part of the site being stored along this access road. And as we fly up along the road, to give you a good view of all of the concrete segments waiting for their opportunity to be installed once the tunnel boring machine is operational and we start seeing the tunnel being bored. As we arrive at the boring company site, I will zoom in. You get a good view of that belt cassette and that roll for the belt that will be extended over to the proof rock, the beams and A-frames that will support that, which is part of the soil removal during the tunneling process. It's a good view of the trailers that have the controls and other parts of the boring process, and of course the tunnel boring machine, Proof Rock 3 drilling head in that drilling pit. Some of the items that are underneath those black tarps waiting for their opportunity to be installed. Once the tunnel boring machine gets into operation, we can see that orange, greenish yellow and that white truss. That's for ventilation inside the boring machine once it is underway. And a good view here of the rest of the setup as it's getting close to the point where we should start seeing some of the tunneling operations. I'm going to fly the drone up over the north part of the West Warehouse on Wheels, show you the earthwork that is continuing on this side of the outbound lot. Also, just how busy the outbound lot is today. The check-in trailer we just flew over, we'll see Cybertrucks and Model Ys intermixed on both sides today. A lot of trucks picking up the vehicles for transport off towards the distribution points and the railhead a little bit north of Giga Texas. And a really good view of just the amount of new vehicles that are been produced and getting ready for movement, hopefully to customers here very soon. This north part is continuing to get some of the grade work, and they are clearing out the trailers, equipment, and the parked cars. So eventually this will be ready for paving and extend that outbound lot all the way up to this side. Most of the trench work for the lighting is complete. We do see some on this section here, and there is, in addition to conduit, looks like some different kinds of pipes being put into those trenches as well. On the north end of the building, we see that the glass has been installed. The one broken pane on the left is waiting for pickup, but the rest of it looks pretty good. The concrete apron has been saw cut on this side. Those are those sections that you see in the surface. And then we see at the bottom part of this side on the upper left-hand corner of the screen, all of the new concrete that has been poured here recently, extending all the way to the south end. And this is a really good close-in view of how that looks today. As we get towards the Supercharger station here on the south end, as we've mentioned before, the paving work, at least this far, is completed. The rest of the installation looks like it's mostly complete, waiting for that cover to start being put on. But I also noticed something on my previous video, so did some viewers. I'll bring the drone down very low. I'm going to try to zoom in on the open doors at the south end of the end-of-line facility. And if you look in there fairly quickly here, you can see what looks to be ramps in the second to the left door. Also maybe another ramp in the third door. And I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it's obviously part of the end-of-line final testing before they exit the vehicles from this end of the building. So pretty cool. The west side, the east side here has got the repaving done. It looks like it was just in paving, not in concrete. So I guess they just had to rework this section, possibly because of maybe moisture or incompatible soil strength after they had finished the original paving, and then they decided to redo it. So anyway, we're going to fly up towards the north end of the building here on the west side, and I'm going to position the drone so that we can resume on the other side of the highway and take a look at the work that is going on here for some more removal of the apron. Nice Cybertruck heading by. And also the first of two of those stairwells has been removed, or the stairs going into those doors. You can see the temporary stairs and landing. Also, the complete ramp is now gone, and this gives you a good view of how this entire rework section looks today. As we fly towards the south along the west side of the building, just a good view of the amount of activity going on here. It's about 8 o'clock on a Friday. And on the left-hand side of the screen with those two black ramps, we don't see very many Model Ys coming out at this moment in time from the end-of-line facility. But we do see activity here. Crews are constantly cleaning this stone glass trapezoid. And as one of my Patreons has mentioned, this may be a job for life to keep that clean. On these receiving doors that have been added recently, it looks like the thresholds have got the rebar ready for the concrete, and then the load levelers can be installed, and then of course the extensions are very similar to what we see on the left-hand side of the screen. So those are coming along pretty well. As we get to this southwest temporary staging lot, we see about 15 Cybertrucks here today. So this is an increase of a few from the last time I was flying on Wednesday. So they continue to use this lot for some purposes with the Cybertrucks. On the extension, the big news here is that the steel has grown towards the original building, and as you can tell, the first connection with one of those beams to the original structure has now been made. So the extension is now touching the original building, which is really great to see. A lot more of the steel items have been delivered on the ground waiting for installation, and of course the kind of the atrium area that we see on this southwest corner. Now, as I bring the drone back, I want to try to give you this image here and then overlay the rendering that my Patreon Keenan Bateman did. And this gives you a good idea just from this vantage point what this is going to look like, or at least it could look like. And I think it's a great rendering. And then as we come back to today, this gives you an idea of where this is and how it looks now. So I really appreciate the work that Keenan did, and his render was really outstanding. It gives us something to kind of compare to and see how the construction is progressing. We do see more of the floor decking being put on the second floor on this segment. In the middle area, the concrete that we saw being poured on the previous video is curing. And on the ground floor, we can see this excavation next to where the perimeter grade beam is kind of doubled up. And this is a good view of that work that is underway right now. You can see some of the concrete footings underneath the supports for the columns as well. Now, there is another very similar excavation going on the ground in this part of the building. But one of the differences is that they've added what looks to be a mud base. Usually that's put down before they do rebar work. It helps with that installation, and it's not truly concrete, but it does keep the rebar off of the ground and makes it easier to make the rebar reinforcement. So that's what I think is going on today. In the southeast corner, crews are unpacking many of these crates with the CDEC glass panels. And each of these containers has about 3, maybe 4 panels. So this gives you an idea that a very large section of glass is about to be added. And it will look very similar to what we can see on the left-hand side of the screen. They may be preparing to do this on the south end of the building. So that'll be something that we look forward to on my next video. The perimeter grade beam work here continues. Some more of the concrete has been poured. There's yet another opening here on this side of the angled corner. And then the perimeter grade beam continues to work towards the tank section. And this is a good view here of the construction work that is underway right now. A couple of Cybertrucks on this side, one going back into stamping 2, and that's where the exit is for the newly made Cybertrucks. Good work at the ground level here where the rework on the footing is mostly completed. And you can see that excavation on the left-hand side. And based on the perimeter grade beam on the south end, there's probably going to be one more parallel excavation, just like the one we see on the left-hand side of the screen. This is also a good view of the gap between the building and the extension and how that is continuing to change. I'm going to reposition the drone on the roof here, and we'll take a look at this open section where the crews are preparing this for the ventilation ducting that are currently stored over on the west side. I'll give you a good look down inside. You can get a good look at the platforms, what looks to be the wood decking that the workers are walking on, a lot of the manifolds itself, this plastic covered section, some additional manifolds in this area, and then more of the Evapco chiller units or cooler units here on this side. So overall, this looks like it's making a lot of quick progress, and soon we should start seeing the roof section being filled back in and then those ventilation ducts installed. You can see here conduit and concrete vaults being installed in trenches along this entire south side. Looks like those small items that was for concrete on those bottom left. Looks like those are being removed, so that work is now completed. The east side of the building is just one section of footings away from reaching its farthest extent. And then here we see some stormwater pipe being moved around at the intersection of what will be Robotic Avenue on the right and River Road below the drone. As we continue to fly in, there's a good view of the materials on this east side as well. A good zoom in showing you how this end of the building looks at this point in time. And of course, the section that has what looks like windows are the second set of ramps for the vehicles to be able to access different levels of the parking garage. We can see more of the double T panels on the bottom right, getting ready for installation in that middle section. And on the right-hand side of the screen, in addition to more concrete items and some stair segments on the ground, we see concrete being poured into the stairs, at least on this northwest corner. In addition to that, we see more conduit work on the ground underway, and that'll extend along the roadway towards the north. But overall, it looks like the final parts of concrete are being poured throughout the entire building, which will help bring this closer to being completed. So as I reposition the drone, get you a good view looking towards the east over this section, and of course the Robotic Avenue extension on the right, I wanted to show you some of the activity at the testing and calibration lot. It looks like it's extremely busy today, and if you pay attention at the helicopter pad, we're going to see Cybertrucks doing some testing. They're going to be turning both left and right, and then also testing out some of the suspension as well. While we watch the testing underway, we can also see quite a few of the Cybertrucks lined up in the middle section of the testing and calibration lot. And in addition to that, quite a bit of Model Ys as well. So for production for both seems to be going quite well right now. And a good view now with the testing over of just how the Cybertrucks look here in the middle of the section. I think that there's probably close to about 90 to another 100 here again today. You see more up at the Superchargers, and there were probably another 30 or so in the outbound lot. We saw 15 in the southwest corner staging, and a few of them coming out of the factory on that southeast side. So a large number again of Cybertrucks and even more Model Ys. And I think for those that track the production and the numbers and what projections are going into the end of the first quarter, since we're in the third quarter of the first quarter, I think things are looking pretty good, at least here at Giga Texas. Flying over the east side on the left, you can tell that more of the earthwork near the tree line has been completed. The recycle yard looks very busy on the left-hand side of the screen. More of these workshops and kind of trailer section here amongst all of the materials, some of the old concrete slab segments that have been cut out on the left, and just a general look at all of the activity, the materials, and the offices, the trailer offices for the construction companies. I did want to give you a better look at this new clearing section. It has had the grade work completed, the gravel mix applied on the surface, and now it looks like they are turning it into another material storage yard. So that may answer the question of what that is for right now. The work on extending Tesla Road on the left continues, and the entire east side of the cathode plant looks like there's a lot of activity, especially with the water detention pond, and I'll give you some closer views here of that here shortly. The east side has had that large section of asphalt installed, and again, less materials on this side now, less trailers, and they may be preparing to pave the middle section here shortly. No real change on this kind of a underground tank at the south end of the crash test facility today, but here at the water detention pond we see a lot of changes. We see riprap kind of material at the bottom where the outfall channel is located. We see along the berms these kind of mats that are being placed to help with erosion control, some water in the filtration section of that detention pond, and a lot more work with crews, and I'll give you shortly some closer views of that. Here is the outfall channel, and looks like they're starting to put some of that green mesh and possibly have that seeded with grass again to help with the erosion control. As we get closer to where the workers are working on that outfall channel, that concrete structure, we also see this material that's being put along the berms. And it looks like it's a mat with probably some sort of concrete segments in it. And again, this is to help with the erosion control, since we see a lot of that with all of the rain that we get around here. At the bottom of the screen, you can see more of the riprap along that inlet channel for the entire water detention pond. As we come back over towards the east side of the cathode plant, another good look at the concrete segments and the asphalt segments, the cell testing lab, and some of the trailers next to it on the left, and how the entire north end looks with the asphalt and the concrete apron in front of those receiving doors. Here's how the west side looks. Still a few of those steel corrugated pipes on the right ready for their installation, and we'll hopefully see that here soon. And the lift station looks like there is some additional work going on with the electrical cabinetry. The generator is still here powering the system, and you can get a good view of the open manhole covers and access points into that underground system. As we fly along the southwest towards the south side of the cathode plant, a couple of things I want to show you. Again, that temporary platform still being used on the left. Looks like work on the ground near the base of that platform. And then the plastic sheeting that had been around the north end of the chiller plant is all gone, so I brought the drone down low to try to give you a good view inside here, kind of glean a little of the work that they've done. There's like those gray tanks and manifolds on the ground. Looks like those may be new. And then here is a good view from the top looking down through this section. Again, a lot of very large pipes, some valves, and you can kind of see those gray items that were added. The fan units are very busy again today. You can see some of that vapor coming up out of the fan units. And then looking through the alleyway, how it looks today. Looking at this north part of the die shop, still work to be done to do the graded work on here to get it ready for the asphalt. You do see a truck leaving with some dirt right now. And then along the west side is a good view of the graded section, which I would expect to see more paving done throughout this entire side here very soon. And with the way that the earthwork is looking, it looks like they are getting to that point where it's almost ready for that asphalt. On this side, we see additional earthwork to try to extend that asphalt driveway around to this part of the facility, and a good view of the die shop with all of the windows in now and the entranceway on the bottom right. As I bring the drone back, I'll give you a view along where Tesla Road will continue to be extended through this area. We're passing over the security checkpoint and, of course, the graded section on the left, preparing to allow the Tesla Road to have multiple lanes coming in this direction. So let's fly up over the Tesla trailers and come up to the electrical switchyard area, specifically the temporary electrical switchyard, which is very close to being completely removed. Still see that transformer waiting for movement off the site, the 3 control rooms, and looks like there's still some of the underground conduit and, of course, the grounding grid that needs to be removed. And with that equipment in the middle of the screen with looks like, I don't know, like a jackhammer, maybe that'll be part of getting to that underground system here soon. As we fly up over the power lines, I'll give you a view of the Megapack site and also Giga Texas in the background. As I bring the drone down, a couple of things that are of notice on this south end. The breakers have been opened again, and we see this yellow tape around at least the first, 8 or so of the Megapacks. We saw some work being done in this area in my previous video, so it's possible they've encountered some sort of electrical issue and the Megapacks have been taken offline for some repair work. So another thing that we can continue to monitor as time goes on. So let's get over towards the north end of the factory and take a look at some of the activity here today. Some new deliveries just arriving on this truck on the bottom right. You can see the activity with materials and some of the rubbish in the bins at the bottom of the screen. The commercial elevators are working, but I will be honest, they are very loud. You can hear them kind of groaning as they go up and down, carrying people and equipment. Speaking of deliveries, here's another large section of deliveries of 2 items. I'm not sure exactly what they are. And then on the north part of the paint shop, we see all of these wooden crates and some of the front castings for the Cybertruck. Not sure what is in the crates. I was not able to read the labels, but pretty interesting to see more of those wooden crates in this section. A lot of the rack mounts for the castings, plus the castings themselves along this northeast corner. The widened berm on the left, and starting to get some of that black geotextile membrane added on the top of it. And as I zoom in, this gives you a look at this section getting concrete to bridge between the 2 already completed concrete sections. Here's a lot of the materials for that internal furnace that has been installed. Looks like some blue ducting as well. A lot more of the rack mounts and castings here and on the left on that new concrete apron, as we figured that was what the purpose was. And then here's a good low-level view of the work to prepare this section, removing the concrete. And those holes in the ground are very interesting. It looks like they are removing some, I don't know, probably moisture or water within each of those circular depressions in this section. But as I pirouette around over the power lines, gives you a good different vantage point of that work to remove all the concrete. And again, how this widened apron is being used for those rack mounts and those castings. Here's a good view in, zoomed in of this area as we fly along, and just give you yet another different view of what is going on here. On the left-hand side of the screen, we can see that the excavation and work here near those towers continues. And the easement is they can't do anything within 25 feet of the bottoms of those towers, so it looks like they're right at that point. Here's more castings in and amongst these areas where some of the receiving doors have been added. You can get a good sense of the number of castings along this entire east side. And next to these 5 receiving doors and that secondary entrance, we see yet more excavation. More of the concrete has been saw cut and removed as well. So more changes continue to happen here on the east side of the factory. So that's a good look at a lot of the site today, and I hope that you enjoyed what we were able to see, and just get a good view of all of the activities that are going on this extremely busy site. As I pull away to the east, this gives you a good view overall of many of the places that we were able to visit today and the Colorado River at the bottom of the screen. As always, thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it, and have a great weekend. Take care.